Alpine's Hemp Company. Gummies, seltzers, syrups, and more. Treat yourself to the best.
Welcome into our weekly look back at a few of the top crime stories we had for you during the last week here on the WHKY News. I'm Ralph Mangum. These are all from the week of February 10th through February 14th. Let's get to it. 27-year-old Zachary Michael Bradley of West Poplar Street in Conover was arrested by Hickory police Monday on a charge of attempted first-degree murder. Bradley was placed in the Catawba County Detention Facility where he's being held without bond. A district court date was scheduled Monday in Newton. 29-year-old Megan Gale Shook of Swinging Bridge Road in Conover was arrested Sunday by Hickory police officers. She's charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. Shook was jailed in the Catawba County Detention Facility without bond, and no court date is currently listed.
The 2 suspects in this case are reported to be Burke County residents. They were arrested following a traffic stop on Highway 70. Police reportedly seized cocaine and cash during that traffic stop. Both suspects were jailed in Newton under large bond amounts, and they were scheduled to make first court appearances late last week. 21-year-old Nachales Martinez Gomez of Morganton and 33-year-old Jeffrey Demetrius Carter, whose address was not listed, were arrested by Catawba County Sheriff's officers. Gomez was charged with 2 counts apiece of trafficking in cocaine by possession and transportation and conspiracy to sell and deliver cocaine. She's also charged with trafficking in cocaine with intent to sell. Carter is charged with 2 counts apiece of trafficking in cocaine by transportation, conspiracy to traffic in cocaine by transportation, and conspiracy to sell and deliver cocaine. A traffic stop was conducted on Highway 70 when the Narcotics Division intercepted a vehicle carrying suspected narcotics traffickers. During the stop, authorities seized 58 grams of cocaine and more than $1,000 in cash. Gomez was placed in the Catawba County Detention Facility under $675,000 secured bond. Carter was jailed in that same facility under a $600,000 secured bond. The Catawba County Sheriff's Office thanked the Burke County Sheriff's Office and Hickory Police Department for their assistance in the investigation. Reporting from Catawba County, I'm Rob Eastwood, WHKY News.
62-year-old Keith Douglas Church of Deal Mill Road in Hudson was arrested Thursday by Caldwell County Sheriff's officers. He's charged with 5 felony counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. The Sheriff's Office, in cooperation with the North Carolina Crimes Against Children Task Force, arrested Church and brought him to the Caldwell County Detention Center under a $75,000 bond. He is not listed as an inmate. A district court appearance is scheduled for February 27th. Much more from our crime report at WHKY.com. I'm Ariana Mack.
25-year-old Zion Morris Boston of Taylorsville was arrested by Taylorsville police Sunday on felony counts of second-degree kidnapping and breaking and entering a motor vehicle. He was also charged with impeding traffic and resisting arrest. At last report, Boston remained in the Alexander County Detention Center under a $100,000 bond. An appearance in district court was set for February 17th.
More details have been released regarding an assault arrest reported by Hickory Police. As WHKY previously reported, 29-year-old Megan Gale Shook of Swinging Bridge Road in Conover was arrested Sunday and charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. The Hickory Police Department responded to reports of a shooting at the Waffle House at 1245 Highway 321 Northwest at approximately 2:50 a.m. Sunday. They found a 35-year-old Hickory woman suffering from a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. The woman was transported to a local hospital from the scene. Investigators determined that the woman was in an altercation with Megan Gale Shook and other individuals in the parking lot of the business when she was shot. Shook left the scene prior to officers' arrival and was found a short time later by the Alexander County Sheriff's Office. She was being held in the Catawba County Detention Facility under $50,000 bond as of earlier February 11th. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information related to this incident is asked to contact investigator Tammy Johnson at tjohnson@hickorync.gov or call the Hickory Police Department at 828-328-5551. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY.
The suspect in this case is charged in connection to a shooting that occurred in the middle of last month. We reported on that incident here on WHKY. The suspect was placed in jail under no bond following the arrest, which was made last week. A court date is scheduled for later this month. 33-year-old John Dexter Wines of Mount Ulla Highway in Mooresville was arrested by Iredell County Sheriff's officers. He's charged with felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, possession of a firearm by a felon, and violation of a domestic violence protection order with a deadly weapon. He's also charged with misdemeanor interfering with an electronic monitoring device. Wines is a suspect in a shooting that occurred last month at the intersection of Wiggins Road and Mount Ulla Highway near Mooresville. The shooting occurred at approximately 3:15 a.m. January 16th. After deputies and Iredell County EMS personnel were dispatched to the scene of the shooting, the victim was transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the lower abdomen. The investigation revealed that the shooting stemmed from a domestic dispute. The suspect allegedly followed the victim's vehicle, blocked it at an intersection, and initiated an altercation before shooting the victim and fleeing the scene heading towards Rowan County. Iredell County Sheriff's deputies took Wines into custody on February 6th. He was placed in the Iredell County Detention Center without bond. A district court date is scheduled for February 28th. Reporting for WHKY News, I'm Rob Eastwood.
42-year-old Travis Shook of Conover was sentenced Tuesday to 210 months in prison and 5 years of supervised release on drug and gun charges. Catawba County Sheriff Don Brown was among those who joined Dina J. King, U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, as she made the announcement Tuesday. In August 2022, officers observed Shook as he walked back and forth from his property to his black Chevy Suburban, which had a white boat attached to it. Officers saw Shook place a backpack in the back seat and drive away. Officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop for multiple violations, including driving while license revoked. Shook led officers on a vehicle pursuit that ended when he crashed the Suburban and boat into a wooded area at the end of a Hickory street. Shook then ran on foot and jumped into Lake Hickory. A short time later, he was taken into custody. The backpack contained nearly 370 grams of meth, nearly $25,000 in cash, digital scales, other paraphernalia, and 2 unspent 12-gauge shotgun shells. Officers also found a Ruger semi-automatic pistol on the side of the road. The firearm had 1 round in the chamber and another round in the magazine. In August of last year, Shook pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute meth and possession of a firearm by a felon. Shook has a prior criminal history that includes felony convictions for assault with a deadly weapon inflicting serious injury and second-degree kidnapping. He is prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition. Assistant U.S. Attorney Nick J. Miller, Brandon Boykin, and Regina Pack prosecuted the case.
A man who provided a fatal dose of fentanyl to a Statesville resident has been sentenced to a minimum of 1.5 years in prison in connection to that death. The 19 to 32-month sentence was imposed during a recent session of Iredell County Superior Court. 27-year-old Dakota Michael Drake of Statesville was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and delivery of a Schedule I controlled substance in connection with the 2022 death of 27-year-old Julius Chance Gunter. Drake was also ordered to serve 6 to 17 months in prison for violating the terms of his probation. On July 23, 2022, Iredell County Sheriff's Office patrol deputies responded to a call regarding an unresponsive male at an address on Hickory Highway, where CPR instructions were being provided. Upon the arrival of emergency personnel, Narcan was administered and the victim was transported to a local hospital. The victim later passed away. As of earlier February 12th, Drake was being held at the Iredell County Detention Center. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY.
According to police reports, the suspect in this case attempted to carjack motorists on an area interstate. The suspect was being held on an ICE detainer as of the time I'm filing this report. 32-year-old Jankly Omar Sarmiento Correa of Birmingham, Alabama, was arrested by Iredell County Sheriff's officers. He's charged with offenses including 3 felony counts of breaking and entering to a motor vehicle and single felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon on a government official and assault on a government official causing physical injury. On Sunday, February 2nd, a patrol sergeant with the Iredell County Sheriff's Office was traveling southbound on Interstate 77 near mile marker 63 when he saw a man running in the northbound lanes attempting to stop vehicles. The sergeant reported that Sarmiento Correa was acting erratically, jumping in front of multiple vehicles and attempting to pull open car doors in what appeared to be an attempt to carjack motorists. Sarmiento Correa turned toward the officer with a weapon in hand. In response, the sergeant drew his service weapon and ordered the suspect to stop. Sarmiento Correa dropped the weapon but fled from the sergeant before eventually being apprehended by the officer with the assistance of citizens. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, determined that Sarmiento Correa had previously been deported and they placed a detainer on him. An Iredell County District court date is set for February 28th. In addition to the person who was killed during this incident, there were 3 others who were injured. We previously reported on this case here on WHKY back in 2022. 40-year-old Aaron Levito Linebarger pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter in connection to the death of 68-year-old Euphegenia Williams. Linebarger will serve a sentence of up to 6 years in prison. He received credit for the 2 years, 6 months spent in custody while awaiting trial. As we previously reported, on June 14th of 2022, deputies with the Catawba County Sheriff's Office responded to a residence on Cheyenne Oaks Drive in Claremont. When officers arrived, they found 4 people suffering from gunshot wounds. 3 of them were transported to area hospitals. The other person, Euphegenia Williams, was pronounced deceased at the residence. Linebarger was initially charged with murder and 2 counts of attempted murder, along with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. The attempted murder and assault charges were dropped as part of the plea agreement. The defendant claimed self-defense at the time of his arrest. He is serving his sentence at the Piedmont Correctional Institution in Salisbury.
At approximately 8:15 Wednesday morning, Morganton public safety officers responded to a reported stabbing at an address on Cosby Road. Officers were told that a family member of the homeowner had been stabbed multiple times and that gunshots had been fired. Upon arrival, officers heard multiple gunshots from the roadway. The family member safely removed themselves from the area and met with law enforcement. The situation escalated when the homeowner refused to communicate with officers or exit the residence. After about 4 hours, a SWAT team and other officers established communication with the occupant inside, a 58-year-old Morganton man. The man had sustained injuries prior to his interaction with officers. He was transported to a local health care facility for treatment. Officers also found a woman involved in the disturbance at a nearby residence. She had also sustained injuries prior to contact with officers. She was transported to a local health care facility for medical evaluation. The case remains under investigation. The Alexander County Sheriff's Office is investigating a larceny that occurred at Ace Hardware in Bethlehem at about 2:30 p.m. on February 5th. Anyone with information regarding the incident should call the Sheriff's Office at 828-632-2911 or call Crime Stoppers 828-632-8555.
In addition to the larceny by employee charges, the suspect in this case faces drug counts. 47-year-old Billy Joe Sanford of Moxville was arrested by Iredell County Sheriff's officers. She's charged with offenses including 9 felony counts of larceny by employee and single felony counts of possession with intent to sell or deliver heroin and possession of methamphetamine. On February 7th, Iredell County deputies responded to the Harmony IGA in reference to a reported larceny by an employee. Upon arrival, deputies initiated an investigation into the allegations and gathered sufficient evidence to obtain 2 warrants for larceny by an employee against the suspect, identified as Billy Joe Sanford. On February 8th, deputies returned to the business and found Sanford. The deputies served the warrants on site and placed her under arrest. Deputies discovered multiple baggies containing methamphetamine as well as a glass meth pipe in Sanford's possession. Upon arriving at the Iredell County Detention Center, additional narcotics were discovered, resulting in additional charges. Deputies conducted a follow-up investigation on February 9th, which resulted in 7 additional counts of larceny by employee being filed. Sanford was placed in the Iredell County Detention Center without bond following the arrest. A district court date is scheduled for February 26th. The investigation is continuing. You can get more details on this case at WHKY.com.
Caldwell County pastor received a 10-year sentence in a federal child porn case. 53-year-old Ashley James Krause of Granite Falls was sentenced Thursday to 120 months in prison and a lifetime of supervised release for possession and receipt of child sexual abuse material. The announcement was made by Lawrence J. Cameron, acting U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina. Krause was also ordered to register as a sex offender after he is released from prison. According to court documents and Thursday's sentencing hearing, in April 2023, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children referred to a tip from law enforcement that a Dropbox account user had uploaded videos containing child sexual abuse material. Law enforcement determined that the Dropbox user was Krause, who was a pastor at a church in Caldwell County. On November 3rd, 2023, law enforcement executed a search warrant at Krause's residence and the church. From Krause's office at the church, detectives seized a computer tower, an iPad, and 2 thumb drives. Krause admitted to law enforcement officers that he had been downloading and collecting child pornography for 5 to 6 years and that he viewed child sexual abuse material at the church while multitasking and completing church business. The investigation determined that Krause routinely used his computer at the church to access, view, and download child sexual abuse material. A forensic examination of Krause's church computer and other digital devices revealed that Krause shared child pornography and links to child pornography through the Telegram application, and that he had used AI and a software program to make child and other pornography. In total, Krause possessed over 1,200 videos and 450 images depicting the sexual abuse of children. Krause remains in federal custody. He will be transferred to the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons upon designation of a federal facility. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY.
35-year-old Willie Dean Bentley of Taylorsville, who was already charged with felony solicitation of a child by electronic device, now faces 10 counts of felony second-degree exploitation of a minor. Alexander County deputies initially arrested Bentley in August of last year following a complaint by a parent. The latest charges were filed Thursday after a large number of explicit child porn-related images were found on Bentley's cell phone. Bentley has remained in custody since his arrest last year with bond set at $50,000. Bond has now been increased to $125,000. Bentley is scheduled to make an appearance on the most recent charges February 17th in Alexander County District Court. 56-year-old Jerry Lee Martin of Grandview Circle in Lenore was arrested Thursday by Caldwell County Sheriff's officers. He was charged with felony counts of interfering with an electronic monitoring device, larceny of a motor vehicle, and possession of a stolen motor vehicle. Martin was also charged with 3 counts each of breaking and entering and larceny after breaking and entering. He was jailed in the Caldwell County Detention Center under a $65,000 secured bond. A district court appearance was scheduled for February 17th in Lenore.
4-year-old Travis Lynn Killian of Advent Circle in Lenore has been arrested on felony counts of trafficking in methamphetamine and maintaining a dwelling for the sale of a controlled substance. Investigators with the Lenore Police Department and the Caldwell County Sheriff's ICE Unit have been actively investigating the sale and distribution of meth in Lenore and across Caldwell County. The investigation was initiated following multiple citizens' complaints. Investigators identified Travis Killian as a key figure in the illegal distribution of meth. A search warrant was executed at the suspect's residence on February 12th, resulting in the seizure of approximately 349 grams of meth and $1,000 in cash. The narcotics seized have an estimated street value of $52,350. Killian was taken into custody without incident at the scene. He was already out on bond on a prior drug charge and was denied bond on the latest charges. A first appearance in district court was scheduled today in Lenoir. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY.
And that was our weekly recap of a few of the crime stories we had for you during the past week. That's the week of February 10th through 14th. You can find our weekly summary every Saturday posted on our YouTube channel, along with our top stories, the crime report, local sports, and community focus. I'm Ralph Mangum. Thank you for your support.